Hi, my name is Zabia Colovos.
And I'm James Coley, the King Street Station program lead, here to welcome you to Luminous Being.
And I'm so excited to show you some of my art today. Thank you for joining us. So, James, let me take you through our exhibit.
Okay.
I wanted to start with this piece right here.
Great one.
As you know, the name of my show is Luminous Being. And boy, when I tell you that this might encapsulate the show most as a single piece, this is called Mystic Voyage. And I really see this figure of a goddess who has this large eye and a large nose and a tear dripping down. And the sailboat is kind of what I think of as the human soul, that we all have this opportunity to live this short period of time and
talk about it
through many storms. And so I wanted to make a representation of a goddess who, although being divine, was also mourning the creation that we find ourselves in, especially given the immense violences and atrocities that happen in the world today.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. As we walk through these pieces, I'm personally struck by that mix of sorrow and grief and hope and light and dark. There's sort of these things that, maybe our society tries to create a duality of, which you have inherently put in each of your pieces as being inextricably linked together and in conversation.
Well, I love that, James. And speaking of duality, let's move to this piece. This is called The Lady Under the Roses. The Lady of the Roses. Excuse me. And this, I think, speaks to that duality of the pilgrimage that we all make through life. If you can see above, it's these very dark, almost stormy clouds. And then we have the wings, and then we have the roses underneath. And just thinking about the rose itself as this beautiful structure and fragrance, but also this thorny stem. And I love that imagery because I think it's so true to, in a way, what creates the human striving that we each take up in our life, and the way that we want to take the challenges and the suffering that we have experienced and turn it into something that creates almost a new myth of how to move forward into the world as a fully authentic, fully liberated soul on this planet. I think it's one of the great privileges that I have and wanted to share with the world, of just thinking more, thinking deeply about that journey through life and how we can create hope in the times of despair. And yeah.
I love it. And I just quickly say, I love the sketch-like quality that you've sort of given us this work in progress. Just looking at the work itself, it is both perfect in its imperfection, but it's also showing us sort of the edges of itself, which I think is really a powerful statement in and of itself as we look at the work. So thank you for that courage in showing us that.
Thanks for sharing that. Speaking of imperfection and how the imperfection is what makes us perfect in a way, I have my bronze work here that is from 2018. Here we have several pieces that I fashioned to fit particular parts of my body that were injured in a relationship that was toxic and unhealthy and violent. And in the process, in the aftermath of coming to terms with the honest truth, the theme of honesty really surfaced for me. And what I found, a quote that I found and loved was, forgive me for if I butcher it, but it essentially was just talking about grief being the doorway of honesty. So how can we be true to ourselves and to who we are and to others that are in relationship with us if we're not able to go into our grief. And so this was my owning of my process and the repair that I needed to do first and foremost with myself in the aftermath.
I would say I'm also just struck by not only how the art sort of, your work kind of explores these themes and wrestles with these ideas and these experiences, but how it literally is the expression of processing those incidents and processing your experience in just a very literal way when we look at these pieces. So bringing to such a deep vulnerability to the viewer and to your experience. So
thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think vulnerability probably is the through line of most of my work. Deep intimacy being another way to say that. And these portraits are actually of stone sculptures that I made a few years ago myself, and I carved them out of huge slabs of granite, and over many, many, many months, finally down to the shapes that you see here, and the breast. And I chose that as a site of deep intimacy, almost a portal, if you enjoy that word, but a portal of our true intimacy and belonging to the human planet, to the spirit, to one another, to community. And I see, I see that in devaluing the world and devaluing the earth in the way we have, including the devaluing of human life on the planet, just starting with my own body, my own form, cherishing the things that have been really skewed in our society, that we only see things for pleasure, for almost their use in an extractive sense, but actually reclaiming the absolute preciousness of my own body. So I hope that this can be something that others, it gives a question to slow down and really feel into what each of our unique life experiences and the paths that we're taking through life. What is the seed that we need to water? What is the thing that is begging for our attention? So thank you so much for joining and asking me all of these wonderful questions.
Thank you for bringing all of this to the KSS space and the various mediums you're working through to help bring us this experience, this very personal, intimate experience that allows us in our own journey to connect throughout the exhibition with where we might be in our experience. So thank you. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Bye.